a young woman from Washington, D.C., barely out of her teens, dancing in the chorus line of a Broadway production, dreaming of something more. Fast forward 5 decades, and that same woman has become one of Hollywood's most beloved icons, a philanthropist changing children's lives worldwide, and half of one of the entertainment industry's most enduring love stories. This is the extraordinary journey of Goldie Hawn, and today, we're diving deep into the incredible life of a woman who proved that authenticity, resilience, and joy can build a legacy that transcends generations. What makes someone a true Hollywood legend? Is it the awards? The box office numbers? The fame? Or is it something more, something deeper? Goldie Hawn's story suggests it's all of that and so much more. It's about breaking barriers when women in Hollywood had limited power, about choosing love over convention, about using fame as a platform for genuine change, and about maintaining that infectious giggle and radiant smile through 5 decades of an industry known for chewing people up and spitting them out. Today, at 79 years old, Goldie Hawn stands as living proof that you can have it all on your own terms, that success doesn't require sacrifice of your authentic self, and that the greatest roles we play aren't always on screen. Born on November 21, 1945, in Washington, D.C., Goldie Jean Hawn entered the world at a pivotal moment in American history. World War II had just ended, and the country was transforming. Her mother, Laura Steinhoff, was a jewelry shop owner with Presbyterian roots, while her father, Edward Rutledge Hawn, was a musician who played in a band and worked for the federal government. Goldie grew up in nearby Tacoma Park, Maryland, in a household that valued both creativity and practicality, a combination that would serve her well throughout her remarkable career. From the very beginning, Goldie was drawn to movement and performance. At just 3 years old, her parents enrolled her in ballet and tap dance lessons, recognizing something special in their energetic daughter. This wasn't just a hobby or a way to burn off childhood energy. For young Goldie, dance became a language, a way of expressing herself that felt more natural than words. She threw herself into training with the kind of dedication that would later characterize her approach to acting, producing, and philanthropy. By the time she was 10 years old, she was performing in the corps de ballet of the prestigious ballets Russ's de Monte Carlo production of The Nutcracker in 1955, a remarkable achievement for someone so young. These early years of rigorous dance training did more than develop her physical abilities. They instilled discipline, taught her how to work within an ensemble while still finding moments to shine, and gave her an understanding of her body as an instrument of expression that would later make her physical comedy so memorable. Dance also gave her something else crucial: confidence. Standing on stage at such a young age, feeling the hot lights and the audience's attention, she learned she belonged in front of people, that she had something to offer that made others happy. As Goldie moved through her teenage years, the passion for performance only intensified. She made her stage debut at 19 in 1964, playing Juliet in a Virginia Shakespeare Festival production of Romeo and Juliet. Imagine that transition, from the structured, precise world of ballet to the emotional, verbal complexity of Shakespeare's most famous tragic heroine. It demonstrated a range and fearlessness that would become hallmarks of her career. She wasn't content to stay in one lane or play it safe. If something challenged her, she moved toward it, not away from it. After high school, Goldie briefly attended American University, where she studied drama. But the classroom couldn't contain her ambition and restless energy for long. The pull of professional performance was too strong. She dropped out of college, a decision that would have terrified many young women of her era, and began working as a professional dancer. She taught ballet in her hometown to pay the bills while auditioning for anything and everything. These were lean years, uncertain years, the kind that test whether a dream is just a fantasy or a calling you're willing to sacrifice for. Then came the move that would change everything. Goldie headed to New York City, that legendary crucible where dreams are either forged into reality or shattered completely. She found work as a go-go dancer, a gig that was steady employment, but a far cry from the ballet stages or Shakespeare festivals she'd performed on before. But Goldie understood something crucial. Every performance, no matter the venue, was an opportunity. She brought joy and energy to that work, refusing to let circumstance diminish her spirit. Little did she know that her infectious personality and natural charisma were being noticed. In 1967, opportunity knocked in the form of Hollywood. Goldie landed a small role in the Disney film, The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band. It was a tiny part, basically playing a giggling dancer, but it got her in the door. More importantly, it moved her to California, where the real action was happening in television. And then came the audition that would make Goldie Hawn a household name virtually overnight. Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In was unlike anything American television had ever seen. Launched in 1968, this sketch comedy show was fast-paced, irreverent, politically edgy, and wildly popular. It was the perfect match for the cultural moment, when America was grappling with social change, generational conflict, and a desire to laugh through difficult times. When Goldie joined the cast in the third episode of the first season, she was just 22 years old. She was hired initially as a dancer, but producers quickly realized they had discovered something special. Goldie's breakthrough character on Laugh-In was brilliantly simple yet unforgettable. A ditzy, bikini-clad blonde who would deliver one-liners and then dissolve into genuine, infectious giggles, often forgetting her lines or breaking character in ways that made her even more endearing. With her body painted in psychedelic designs and flowers, she embodied a kind of joyful innocence that audiences found irresistible. But here's what made Goldie different from every other blonde comedienne who'd come before. You could see the intelligence behind the act. The ditziness was a character choice, not her actual personality. She was in on the joke, and somehow that made it even funnier. America fell in love with her immediately and completely. Here was someone who didn't take herself too seriously, who seemed genuinely delighted to be there, whose laughter was contagious. In an era of social upheaval and division, Goldie Hawn made people smile. Fan mail poured in. Magazine covers featured her. She became a cultural phenomenon, the breakout star of a show full of talented people. And while she could have easily been pigeonholed as just a pretty face or a one-note performer, Goldie had bigger plans. In 1969, while still riding high on her Laugh-In fame, Goldie made her first significant film appearance in Cactus Flower, a romantic comedy directed by Gene Saks. She played Toni Simmons, a free-spirited young woman involved with a middle-aged dentist played by Walter Matthau, opposite the legendary Ingrid Bergman. The role required Goldie to be funny, vulnerable, charming, and emotionally authentic. She had to hold her own in scenes with two of the most respected actors of the era. And she absolutely nailed it. The performance earned Goldie Hawn the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in 1970. Let that sink in. At just 24 years old, in her first major film role, she won an Oscar. She also won the Golden Globe for the same role. These weren't Lifetime Achievement Awards or consolation prizes. They were recognition that a major new talent had arrived. The film industry was putting everyone on notice. Goldie Hawn was not just a TV personality or a flash in the pan. She was a serious actress with genuine range and ability. Interestingly, Goldie wasn't at the Academy Awards ceremony when her name was announced. She was so convinced she wouldn't win that she didn't attend, later calling it one of her biggest regrets. It's a humanizing detail, showing that even at her moment of greatest triumph, she struggled with self-doubt and imposter syndrome. But that Oscar win changed the trajectory of her career. She was no longer auditioning for roles. Roles were being written for her. Throughout the 1970s, Goldie carefully built her film career, choosing diverse projects that showcased different aspects of her talent. She worked with director Steven Spielberg in his first theatrical film, The Sugarland Express, in 1974, playing a young mother who helps her husband escape from prison to retrieve their child from foster care. It was a dramatic role, proving she could do more than comedy. She appeared in Shampoo in 1975 alongside Warren Beatty, holding her own in a sophisticated social satire. She did thrillers, she did screwball comedies, she did period pieces. Each role added another dimension to her public image, making her one of the most versatile actresses in Hollywood. But it was the 1980s that truly cemented Goldie Hawn as a major force in American cinema. And she did it by doing something relatively rare for actresses at the time. She took control of her own career by becoming a producer. In 1980, she both starred in and produced Private Benjamin, a comedy about a spoiled, pampered woman who joins the army after her husband dies on their wedding night. The film was Goldie's brainchild, developed through her production company. She packaged it, got it financed, and made sure it reflected her vision. Private Benjamin was a massive commercial and critical success, earning over $69 million at the box office and garnering Goldie another Academy Award nomination, this time for Best Actress. The film spawned a television series and became a cultural touchstone. But beyond the box office numbers and accolades, What Private Benjamin represented was revolutionary. Goldie had proven that an actress could successfully produce her own vehicle, control her narrative, and succeed on her own terms. In the male-dominated Hollywood of the early 1980s, this was a big deal. She was breaking down barriers and opening doors for other actresses to take creative control of their careers. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Goldie became one of Hollywood's most reliable box office draws. She starred in Overboard in 1987, a romantic comedy opposite Kurt Russell that has become a beloved classic and shows remarkable chemistry between the two leads. There's good reason for that chemistry, as we'll discuss shortly. She appeared in Bird on a Wire with Mel Gibson in 1990. Death Becomes Her in 1992 with Meryl Streep and Bruce Willis, a dark comedy that has gained cult status over the years. She worked with Steve Martin in House Sitter in 1992, demonstrating her gift for comedic timing and physical comedy. But perhaps her biggest box office triumph came in 1996 with The First Wives Club, in which she starred alongside Bette Midler and Diane Keaton. The film, about three middle-aged divorced women who team up to exact revenge on their ex-husbands who left them for younger women, struck a massive cultural nerve. It earned over $180 million worldwide and became an anthem for women of a certain age who refused to be invisible or discarded. The scene where the three stars sing, "You Don't Own Me," has become iconic. The film proved that movies centered on older women could be both critically successful and commercially viable, a lesson Hollywood somehow keeps needing to relearn. What made Goldie's performances so consistently appealing? It wasn't just her comedic timing, though that was impeccable. It wasn't just her physicality, though her dance background gave her a grace and expressiveness that enhanced every role. It was her essential warmth and authenticity. No matter what character she played, there was always a sense that you were getting to know the real Goldie Hawn. She brought vulnerability to her comedy and humor to her drama. She made audiences feel like they were in on the joke with her, not laughing at her. In an industry built on artifice and image, Goldie's greatest gift was seeming genuinely real. Now, let's talk about one of the most important chapters in Goldie's life, her relationship with Kurt Russell, which has become one of Hollywood's greatest love stories. Their story actually begins way back in 1966, when Goldie was just 21 and Kurt was 16. They met on the set of The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band, that Disney movie that marked Goldie's film debut. But nothing romantic happened at that point. They were at completely different stages in their lives and careers. It was just a brief professional interaction that neither probably thought much about at the time. Fast forward to 1983. Both Goldie and Kurt had been through marriages that didn't work out. Goldie had been married to dancer Gus Triconis from 1969 to 1976, then to musician Bill Hudson from 1976 to 1982, with whom she had two children, Oliver and Kate Hudson. Kurt had been married to actress Susan Hubley from 1979 to 1983, with whom he had a son, Boston Russell. Both were single parents navigating the challenges of co-parenting while maintaining demanding careers. Both were cautious about diving into another serious relationship. They reunited on the set of Swing Shift, a film about women working in factories during World War II. The chemistry was immediate, undeniable, and mutual. According to their own tellings of the story, they were living near each other during the shoot, and one night, they went back to Goldie's house to discuss work. But work wasn't really what they discussed. That night, Valentine's Day 1983, marked the beginning of a relationship that has now lasted over 40 years. What makes Goldie and Kurt's relationship so remarkable isn't just its longevity, though in Hollywood, that alone is noteworthy. It's how they've structured their partnership. Despite being together for more than 4 decades, despite having a son together, Wyatt Russell, born in 1986, despite building a life and family together, Goldie and Kurt have never married. This isn't because of lack of commitment or unresolved issues. It's a conscious, deliberate choice they've both been refreshingly honest about in interviews. Goldie has explained that she doesn't need a marriage certificate to prove her commitment. She's seen how marriage can change relationships, create different expectations, and sometimes diminish the passion and intentionality that keeps love alive. By choosing to be together every day without the legal or social obligation, they argue, they're actively choosing each other continually. It's a partnership based on mutual desire rather than binding contract. For some people, this wouldn't work. For Goldie and Kurt, it's been the secret to their enduring happiness. They've built a beautiful blended family. Kurt has been a father figure to Oliver and Kate Hudson since they were young children, after Goldie's second husband Bill Hudson became estranged from the family. Oliver and Kate consider Kurt their dad in every meaningful sense, though they've kept their biological father's surname. Kurt's son Boston became part of the blended family, and when Wyatt was born, he completed the picture. Today, Goldie and Kurt have multiple grandchildren and divide their time between homes in Los Angeles, Colorado, and Vancouver. Their relationship has been marked by mutual respect, support for each other's careers, shared values, and a visible enjoyment of each other's company. They've appeared in several films together, including Overboard and the Christmas Chronicles series. They were jointly honored with stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They've weathered the pressures that destroy so many Hollywood relationships. Fame, scrutiny, long periods apart during filming, the temptations that come with celebrity. Through it all, they've chosen each other, and that choice has made all the difference. In 2017, they received adjacent stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in a joint ceremony, a rare honor that reflected their status as Hollywood royalty and one of the industry's most beloved couples. Pictures from that day show them looking at each other with the same warmth and affection that's evident in photos from the 1980s. After more than 3 decades together, they still seem genuinely delighted by each other's presence. But Goldie Hawn's legacy extends far beyond her film career and personal life. In 2003, she founded the Hawn Foundation, a public charity dedicated to a cause that might surprise those who only know her as a comedic actress: children's mental health and education. What sparked this dramatic pivot from entertainment to education and advocacy? Goldie had become increasingly concerned about rising rates of anxiety, depression, aggression, and suicide among children. She saw kids struggling with emotional regulation, unable to focus or find joy in learning. As a mother and grandmother, this troubled her deeply. But rather than just expressing concern or writing a check, Goldie decided to do something substantive. She assembled a team of neuroscientists, educators, and psychologists to develop a comprehensive program based on cutting-edge research about how children's brains work and how they can be taught to better understand and manage their emotions. The result was MindUP, a social-emotional learning program that has now reached over 6 million children in 48 countries. MindUP teaches children about their brains, helps them develop mindfulness practices, gives them tools for managing stress and emotions, and builds empathy and compassion. The program is based on 4 pillars: neuroscience, positive psychology, mindful awareness, and social-emotional learning. It's been rigorously tested and shown to improve children's emotional regulation, academic performance, and overall well-being. Goldie didn't just lend her name and face to this initiative. She's been deeply, actively involved for over 2 decades. She visits schools, trains teachers, speaks at conferences, and continues to push for the program's expansion. She's written books about children's mental health and brain development. She's testified before governmental bodies about the importance of social-emotional learning in schools. This work has become her primary focus and greatest pride, even more than her Oscar or her most successful films. In interviews, Goldie speaks about MindUP with a passion and depth of knowledge that's impressive. She can discuss the neuroscience of stress responses, the importance of executive function development, and the evidence base for mindfulness practices with the expertise of someone who's done the homework. This isn't celebrity dilettanteism. This is a woman who found her second calling and pursued it with the same dedication and intelligence she brought to her first career. The Foundation's work becomes even more poignant when you consider the timing. Goldie recognized the mental health crisis among children before it became a mainstream concern. She was talking about anxiety and depression in kids before most people acknowledged these as widespread problems. The COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent increases in youth mental health issues have vindicated her early warnings and made her work more relevant and necessary than ever. What drives someone who's already achieved extraordinary success in one field to start over in a completely different, arguably more challenging one? In Goldie's case, it seems to be a combination of genuine concern for others, a desire to use her platform for meaningful change, and a spiritual philosophy that emphasizes compassion and interconnectedness. She's spoken openly about her meditation practice, which she's maintained for over 50 years, and how it's shaped her understanding of happiness, fulfillment, and purpose. Goldie was born into a Jewish family, but has described herself as someone who's studied all religions and finds common threads of wisdom across traditions. She's a dedicated meditator who credits the practice with keeping her grounded, focused, and joyful through decades of Hollywood pressure and personal challenges. Her spirituality isn't performative or dogmatic. It's deeply personal and clearly influences how she moves through the world. This spiritual foundation seems to be what enables her to maintain that famous warmth and positivity without it seeming fake or forced. As we look at Goldie Hawn's life and career comprehensively, certain themes emerge that explain why she's remained relevant, beloved, and influential across 5 decades. First, there's her authenticity. From her earliest laugh-in appearances to her recent social media posts, there's a consistency to who Goldie is. She's never tried to be something she's not, never completely reinvented herself to chase trends. That genuine quality makes people trust her and feel connected to her. Second, there's her intelligence and business acumen. Goldie recognized early that to have true power in Hollywood, she needed to be more than just an actress. By becoming a producer, she took control of her career in ways most actresses of her generation never did. She made smart choices about projects, knew when to take risks, and when to do the commercial crowd pleaser. She built wealth and independence that allowed her to pursue passion projects like MindUP without worrying about her next paycheck. Third, there's her resilience and ability to evolve. Not every film was a hit. Not every choice paid off. She had divorces, family challenges, professional setbacks. But she kept moving forward, kept reinventing what success meant to her, kept finding new mountains to climb. When she could have coasted on past achievements, she launched into education reform. When she could have retired comfortably, she kept working because she loves the craft. Fourth, there's her relationship philosophy. By refusing to marry Kurt Russell despite their obvious commitment, Goldie made a statement about the nature of partnership, choice, and love. She's shown that you can build a lasting, loving family without following conventional scripts. She's modeled a kind of relationship based on continuous choice rather than obligation, and that's resonated with many people who feel trapped by traditional expectations. Fifth, there's her commitment to joy. In an industry and world that often privilege cynicism, darkness, and complaint, Goldie has remained determinately positive without being naive. She's not pretending life is always easy or that problems don't exist. Instead, she's choosing to focus on what brings happiness, connection, and meaning. That choice to cultivate joy is perhaps her most underrated, but most important contribution. At 79 years old, Goldie Hawn shows no signs of slowing down. She's still acting occasionally, choosing projects that interest her rather than ones that will boost her profile. She's still deeply involved with MindUP and the Hawn Foundation. She's actively engaged with her large family, clearly delighting in her role as grandmother. She maintains a presence on social media where she shares glimpses of her life, promotes causes she cares about, and continues to make people smile with that same infectious energy she brought to Laugh-In over 50 years ago. Recent photos and videos show her dancing, laughing, spending time with Kurt, enjoying her grandchildren. There's a vitality to her that seems undiminished by age. Some of that is undoubtedly good genes and access to excellent health care. But a lot of it seems to be the result of choices. Staying active, maintaining meaningful relationships, continuing to engage with the world, having purpose beyond herself, and practicing gratitude and mindfulness daily. She's spoken in recent interviews about how she views this stage of her life. Rather than fighting against aging or pretending she's still 30, she's embracing what this time offers. Wisdom, perspective, freedom from caring what others think, the joy of watching her children and grandchildren thrive. She talks about aging as a privilege, an opportunity to keep learning and growing. It's a refreshing perspective in a culture obsessed with youth, particularly for women in entertainment. Goldie's influence on Hollywood and popular culture is difficult to overstate. She paved the way for funny women to be taken seriously as actresses and creative forces. She demonstrated that you could be both beautiful and comedic, both sexy and talented, both commercially successful and artistically respected. She showed that women over 40, 50, 60 could still be leading ladies, still be desirable, still be relevant. She proved that controlling your own career through production was not only possible but profitable. Her philanthropic work has influenced how celebrities engage with social causes. Rather than just lending her name, she built something lasting and evidence-based. She connected her work to rigorous research and measurable outcomes. She's shown how celebrity can be leveraged for genuine social good rather than just good publicity. Her relationship with Kurt Russell has influenced how we think about commitment and partnership. They've shown that marriage isn't necessary for lasting love, that blended families can thrive, that choosing each other daily is more romantic than any wedding ceremony. They've demonstrated what a truly supportive partnership looks like, where both people encourage each other's dreams and celebrate each other's successes. Looking at the scope of Goldie Hawn's achievements across multiple domains, entertainment, business, philanthropy, family, it becomes clear why she's considered not just a Hollywood icon but a cultural treasure. She's done it all without scandal, without bitterness, without losing herself. She's maintained friendships spanning decades. She's raised children who speak about her with love and respect. She's built something meaningful that will outlast her fame. In a recent interview, Goldie was asked what she's most proud of across her long career. Many expected her to mention the Oscar or Private Benjamin, or perhaps her long relationship with Kurt. Instead, she talked about MindUP and the letters she receives from teachers and parents about how the program has changed children's lives. She talked about a child who learned to manage their anxiety, a teacher who found new joy in teaching, a parent who finally connected with a struggling kid. That's what moves her most now, the quiet, everyday impact of helping children develop emotional intelligence and resilience. This answer tells you everything you need to know about who Goldie Hawn really is beneath the Hollywood glamour. She's someone who's come to understand that the greatest achievements aren't always the ones that make headlines. Sometimes the most important work happens in classrooms and homes, in small moments of connection and understanding. She's taken the platform her entertainment career gave her and used it to make a real difference in areas that truly matter. There's a beautiful full-circle quality to Goldie's journey. She started as a dancer, using her body to express joy and bring happiness to audiences. She became an actress and producer, using her talent and business acumen to create entertainment that made people laugh and feel good. Now she's an educator and advocate, using her resources and influence to help children develop the emotional tools they need to live happy, fulfilling lives. Throughout all these chapters, the through line has been her essential mission: spreading joy, creating connection, helping people feel better about themselves and their lives. When you watch old clips of Goldie on Laugh In, giggling uncontrollably in her painted bikini, it would be easy to dismiss her as just another pretty face or personality of the moment. But knowing what came after, that giggling young woman takes on different significance. She was someone who understood the power of joy, who refused to take herself too seriously, who connected with people through authentic warmth rather than manufactured image. That young woman had the intelligence to parlay her moment in the spotlight into a lasting career, the courage to take creative and business risks, the wisdom to choose love and partnership over convention, and the compassion to dedicate herself to helping children thrive. Goldie Hawn's story is ultimately about possibility and choice. She shows us that you don't have to fit into predetermined boxes or follow expected paths. You can be funny and serious, beautiful and intelligent, successful and grounded, famous and authentic. You can build a career and a family. You can achieve fame and maintain privacy. You can be a Hollywood star and a dedicated philanthropist. You can age with grace while still dancing, laughing, and embracing life fully. In an age of manufactured celebrity and instant fame, where influencers rise and fall in months and staying power seems increasingly rare, Goldie Hawn's 5-decade relevance is even more remarkable. She's remained beloved not by constantly reinventing herself or chasing trends, but by staying fundamentally true to who she is while allowing natural evolution and growth. She's never had a public meltdown, a bitter divorce battle played out in tabloids, or a scandal that tarnished her image. Instead, she's been remarkably, almost improbably consistent. Warm, joyful, talented, smart, and deeply human. As we close this deep dive into Goldie Hawn's extraordinary life, what lessons can we take from her journey? Perhaps it's that authenticity is more valuable than perfection. That joy is a choice worth making daily. That taking creative and personal risks is essential for growth. That commitment doesn't require conventional structures if both people are truly invested. That success in one area doesn't mean you can't pursue completely different dreams. That aging is an opportunity, not a tragedy. That using your platform for good creates legacy that outlasts any movie or award. Goldie Hawn at 79 is still teaching us, still inspiring us, still making us smile. She's living proof that you can have an extraordinary career while maintaining close family bonds. You can be a serious person who doesn't take yourself too seriously. You can acknowledge life's difficulties while choosing to focus on its joys. You can be vulnerable and strong, silly and wise, famous and down-to-earth. From that little girl taking ballet lessons in Maryland to the Hollywood icon and philanthropist she is today, Goldie Hawn has crafted a life that's uniquely her own, played by her rules, filled with love, laughter, purpose, and meaning. She's entertained millions, yes, but more importantly, she's shown millions how to live. With authenticity, courage, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to spreading joy. That's not just a career. That's a legacy. That's not just success. That's a life extraordinarily well lived. And the best part? At 79, she's not done yet. There are still children to help, still grandchildren to spoil, still moments to share with Kurt, still reasons to laugh that infectious laugh, still dances to dance, still joy to spread. Because that's who Goldie Hawn is, was, and always will be, a force of nature, a beacon of light, and a reminder that happiness isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create, cultivate, and choose every single day.